The ocean, vast and indifferent, holds secrets that defy time. Legends speak of phantom vessels, sailing eternally with no living crew. But few tales chill the blood quite like that of the Mary Celeste. A ship found utterly abandoned, yet seemingly unharmed. A vessel whose destiny was to become a canvas for humanity's deepest fears of the unknown. An unsolved riddle, adrift in the annals of maritime history. What happened on those fateful days in 1872? The canvas was set, the winds blew, but the life aboard simply ceased. On December 4, 1872, the British brigantine Dei Grazia, under Captain David Morehouse, sighted a vessel struggling against the waves near the Azores. Something was amiss. Her sails were partially set, but moving erratically. No distress signal. No response to hails. As Morehouse approached, a profound silence descended. This was no ordinary encounter. This was the Mary Celeste, a ship that, just days prior, had left New York bound for Genoa. Now, she was a silent specter, awaiting discovery. Morehouse, uneasy, dispatched a small boarding party led by his first mate, Oliver Devoe. What Devoe and his men found aboard the Mary Celeste would echo through history. The ship was intact. Her cargo hold untouched. Yet, no one was there. Not a soul. It was as if time itself had paused, then moved on, leaving only a ghost behind. The water pump was lying on deck, but everything else seemed perfectly in order. An unsettling calm pervaded the deserted vessel. The ultimate paradox of a ship without a crew. Captain Benjamin Briggs, a seasoned mariner, had commanded the Mary Celeste. With him sailed his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 experienced sailors. 10 lives vanished. The disappearance of an entire ship's complement, including a family, makes this case uniquely chilling. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, nothing to suggest a violent end. Just absence. A void where people should have been. What force could have taken them all, so completely, so silently? The captain's cabin offered a glimpse into lives abruptly interrupted. Personal effects lay untouched. A sewing machine, half-finished stitches. A slate with the day's lesson for young Sophia. Wallets, valuables, all undisturbed. Nothing of significant worth was missing. This immediately cast doubt on theories of piracy. Pirates typically plundered. This scene spoke of something else entirely. A hasty departure? Or an event so sudden, so overwhelming, that even time to grab essentials was denied? The ship's logbook, found in the mate's cabin, held a critical clue, its last entry. Dated November 25, 10 days before the discovery, placing the Mary Celeste about 400 miles west of the Azores. Beyond that date, silence. No further entries. It suggests that whatever befell the crew happened sometime between November 25 and December 4. A narrow window of time for an entire ship's company to vanish without a trace. A period of unsettling, inexplicable void. The most compelling piece of physical evidence was the absence of the ship's lifeboat. The single yawl, typically carried between the foremast and mainmast, was gone. This implied a deliberate act. The crew had launched the lifeboat and departed the Mary Celeste. But why? Why leave a seaworthy vessel, laden with valuable cargo, for a small, open boat in the vast Atlantic? No distress signal, no SOS. Only a planned, yet inexplicable, abandonment. This detail is central to unlocking the mystery. The Mary Celeste was carrying 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. A volatile cargo, certainly, but it was found largely intact, with no signs of leakage or explosion. Only 9 barrels were reportedly empty, their contents possibly consumed, or perhaps, vented. This detail would become paramount in one of the most compelling theories. Could this seemingly innocuous cargo hold the key to the crew's panicked departure? A silent, invisible threat lurking beneath the deck? The Mary Celeste was brought to Gibraltar, where a formal inquiry was launched. The Vice Admiralty Court investigated, scrutinizing every detail. Initial suspicions naturally fell upon Captain Morehouse and his crew of the Dei Grazia, suggesting salvage fraud or even foul play. The idea of an abandoned, valuable ship defying explanation was simply too difficult to grasp. But the evidence, or lack thereof, began to paint a different picture, one far more complex than simple crime. The piracy theory quickly lost ground. All valuable items, including the ship's chronometer and sextant, were still aboard. No signs of struggle, no ransacked cabins. Pirates were known for violence and theft, neither of which was evident. Why would pirates leave a ship perfectly intact, with cargo and valuables, yet take only the crew? The scene on the Mary Celeste defied all known pirate modus operandi. The ship was left untouched. The question shifted from who did this, to what compelled them to leave. Another early theory suggested mutiny. Yet, Captain Briggs was known as a fair and capable commander. His crew, small but experienced, had no known grievances. More importantly, mutineers would rarely abandon a valuable ship or leave personal possessions behind. The lack of any violence or struggle further weakened this idea. The orderly, almost serene, abandonment spoke against any internal conflict. The mystery wasn't about conflict, it was about the utter absence of human presence. Perhaps a sudden, violent natural event? A rogue wave, a squall, or even a waterspout could have struck the ship. However, the Mary Celeste was found in relatively good condition, far from being devastated. While a powerful wave might sweep crew overboard, it wouldn't explain the deliberate launching of a lifeboat by an entire crew, including a woman and child. The ship itself showed minimal damage. This wasn't a wreck, it was a deliberate departure, under unknown duress. One theory posits a sudden, violent seaquake or underwater earthquake. Such an event could cause the ship to lurch violently, throwing crew overboard or causing panic. More importantly, it could create the illusion of the ship breaking apart, prompting the crew to abandon ship in fear. The fear of an imminent sinking, even if unfounded, could explain the hasty launch of the lifeboat. A sudden, unseen force, creating an illusion of catastrophe. A terrifying, fleeting moment of perceived danger. The most widely accepted, albeit still unproven, theory centers on the alcohol cargo. The empty barrel suggests some leakage and evaporation. In the cramped, poorly ventilated hold, alcohol fumes could have built up, especially if a storm caused shifting of cargo. Captain Briggs, a cautious man, might have ordered the hatches open to vent the fumes. A spark, a sudden ignition, and the ship could have been engulfed in a flash fire. A terrifying, explosive possibility. If a buildup of fumes was discovered, and the risk of explosion was real, Captain Briggs would have faced an impossible choice. He might have ordered everyone into the lifeboat, tethering it to the ship, waiting for the fumes to dissipate. This tactical retreat would explain the orderly abandonment and the missing lifeboat. But what if the tether broke? A sudden gust of wind, a rogue wave, a simple failure of rope. The Mary Celeste would drift away, leaving her crew marooned. Imagine the terror, the ship groans, strange sounds echo from the hold, and the air becomes heavy with the invisible threat of alcohol vapor. Captain Briggs, fearing an explosion, makes the agonizing call to abandon ship, not permanently, but for a short, tactical evacuation. The lifeboat is lowered, family and crew pile in, clinging to a rope attached to their vessel. Then, a sudden lurch. The rope snaps. The ship drifts one way, the small boat, its occupants frozen in horror, another. Helpless. Lost. Ultimately, the Mary Celeste is a story not just of a ship, but of human decisions under extreme duress. What was the critical factor that led Captain Briggs, a rational and experienced seaman, to abandon his vessel? Was it a sensory overload, a combination of shifting cargo, strange sounds, and perceived danger from the alcohol? The human mind, when faced with overwhelming uncertainty, can make desperate choices. A moment of panic, a miscalculation, a tragic confluence of events. The sea never forgives. If the lifeboat indeed became separated, the fate of the Mary Celeste's crew was a grim, silent end. Adrift in the vast Atlantic, a small boat against an immense ocean. Exposure, thirst, hunger. A slow, agonizing fade into oblivion. Their bodies, if ever found, would have been lost to the currents. No trace. No final resting place marked. Just the boundless, indifferent sea, swallowing their story whole. A chilling prospect, made more haunting by the perfectly intact ship they left behind. The Mary Celeste sailed for another 12 years after her fateful encounter with the Dei Grazia, changing hands and names, before being deliberately wrecked off Haiti in 1885 in an insurance fraud scheme. But her true legacy was already forged. She became the archetypal ghost ship, a symbol of the inexplicable, a canvas onto which humanity projects its deepest fears of the unknown. Her mystery endures, teaching us that even in an age of science, some questions remain stubbornly unanswered. The story of the Mary Celeste is a stark reminder of the ocean's power and its profound secrets. We've explored the evidence, walked the deserted decks, and considered the most plausible explanations. Yet, no single theory fully satisfies the human craving for certainty. The captain, his family, the crew, they simply vanished. Their final moments, their reasons for leaving a perfectly good ship, are forever lost to the waves. The Mary Celeste remains history's most compelling, and most tragic, ghost ship. A silent testament to the sea's enduring, unfathomable mysteries.